So, well, this wasn't how I wanted the second part of this video to go. I'm filming it all again. So I had fixed the bike. Well, fixed. I managed to, with my probing with my multimeter, I somehow managed to reset the battery pack and it was working. And I tested it all. I had it sitting next to the bike, everything plugged in, bike turned on and off, bike did all the things, put it all back together, bike still worked, rode the bike up and down the driveway. No, that's fine, put it in the garage and then came back out the next morning to exactly the same thing where the bike was dead. Absolutely dead and nothing. So for this video, I'm going to do a more detailed probe of what the battery's doing when it's in the broken state and then open it up, show you what I did to sort of reset it, take another reading of what the pins are doing once the battery's active, and then hopefully somebody will be able to suggest to me a way of building a reset switch so I can manually reset the battery. So every time it does this. The only problem I've found is that once I had reset the battery pack, it no longer wanted to charge from the charger. It just went in an infinite loop on the charger. But I don't know if that's because I also charged it to 42 volts manually, or if that bit of the BMS is dead. Being said that, if that part of the BMS is dead, I will quite happily solder on a cheap BMS to the battery and have it charged absolutely separately and a reset button. If I can get this to work and not have to spend like between £600 and £800 on a new battery for an old bike, I will solder on reset switches and BMSs and go that way. So, what's in shot? Mostly things. So at the moment, the battery pack is dead. I have drawn a small diagram here. There are 2 big pins and 8 small pins on the battery, and that one is negative and that one is positive. And at the moment it is, but that's a BMS dead of, it'll just go down to nothing eventually. So basically 0 volts across the actual output terminals from the BMS that would go out to the bike. So let's go ground or battery negative to what I'm calling pin 1. Pin 1. This would be a lot easier if I could keep it out of shot and do it at the same time. Right, pin 1, which is the top pin. Right, that is 1.12 volts. I'm going to write that down. So pin 1 is 1.12 volts. Agreed? And I'm going from, at the moment, battery negative to positive. Right, pin 2. Right, pin 2 is nothing, 0 volts. Pin 2, 0 output. Pin 3, again, 0 volts. Pin 3, 0 volts. Pin 4, 0.003 volts. I will just call that 0, shall we? 0 volts. Pin 5, 0.003, and then it went nothing, so we're just calling that noise. Pin 5, 0 volts. Pin 6, 0 volts. Pin 6, 0 volts. Pin 7, 0 volts, and pin 8. Pin 8 should be the battery voltage from the BMS. And it always measures, I've noticed on all things, less than the actual full output cell voltage. That is 35.14 volts, which is what it thinks is a fully charged battery. You get the same output from the charger in view, because that is the actual pin that the charger reads to see what the battery voltage is. Right, so do I do the same where I go from positive to negative? Let me just do a quick, we'll go positive, negative. Pin 1. That would be essentially 0 volts once it climbs all the way down. 2, nothing. 3, no, nothing. 4, nothing. 5, nothing. 6, nothing. 7, nothing. And pin 8 should be, it's minus 20 volts, but that's just the backwards from the BMS. If that makes sense. It's still the battery voltage, but the wrong way. Oh, well, I have to make a note of it. Make an ancillary note of pin 8. negative just 19 volts. Or was it 20 volts? I've already forgotten. 19.65. 19.65. Right, we'll just keep that out of there. Right, I'll bring you back once I've peeled off all my hot glue and got the battery open. Okay, this is the battery pack disassembled, which we've hopefully seen before. Right, anyway, where was I? This is these two, the sort of ones that are set further back. They are the main battery pack of voltage. As you can see there, hopefully on display, at 41.51 volts. And then if you come over to the actual BMS output, it is 18 volts. Wait, what? What am I poking here? How have I got 18 volts there? Am I probing the wrong things? Negative. Wait, how could I have 0 volts before and now I've got 18 and all I've done is unclick the thing? Right, how I'd previously fixed it. Right, we'll just gloss over what just happened there for because that was odd. Still see that? Yes, mostly. Right, let me spin this battery back around a little bit. Probes out of the way. Right. Down here, yeah, let me zoom in on it. Boop, 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 boop. Down a bit. So on here in the battery, you can see there is a 5 volt, a ground, a reset, and a mode. Now, I know you can't see the. Well, I'll just zoom out so you can see me testing over the things. Yes, that'd be a better idea. Zoom out. All the way. Not that much. Right, you can still see the multimeter over there. So if we go from ground, yes, thank you multimeter. Did you not get a lot of time out in these things? Yeah, still in shot, still in shot. 5 volts to ground. Let me see. We get 0.6 volts, which is not enough. How about that ground? 0.6 volts, no volts, and no volts. So, what I did before when I was testing, I went between, I think, the pack voltage and went over all of them to see what voltage I got. And see that there? That is a little tiny LED and it started flashing. And that's when it all came back to life. So if we go from pack ground, let's try pack ground first. So that is definitely that one. Pack ground? Yes. So pack ground stabbed in there well. So if we go to 5 volts, we get nothing. If we go to ground, we get nothing. If we go to ground, still nothing. If we go to reset, 0.6 volts. If we go to mode, nothing. Okay, so now I'm going to go from pack positive. Just check that is still pack positive. Yes, 41 volts. We'll go to ground. And we get 40 volts. We'll go to, no, sorry, plus 5 volts. We get 40 volts. Ground, we get 41 volts. Ground again, we get 41 volts. And reset, we get 40 volts. And mode, we get 40 volts. But this time the LED hasn't lit up. Okay, my apologies, that took a lot more fucking about than I thought it would. Can you see, wait, I might have to put the lights out for this one. There, where my fingertip is, there is a very faint glowing green LED. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Oh, there is. Let me move up a little bit. There, right in the middle of the picture, there's a very faint flashing LED. I'll zoom in a bit more. Right. Oh, see, it's just started flashing rapidly there. Right. That button, where is it in my finger? That makes the reset, makes the LED go between slow flash, which is it in standby, and rapid flash, which is the BMS doing things. How I got it to turn back on eventually, well, after much diagnostics, not diagnostics, test, trial and error. Aye. With the multimeter set to continuity, that is the kind that beeps, going between battery pack negative and the reset button, the reset pin on there where my finger is, go to reset. The reset, do you see the green LED goes out and then it starts flashing again. That reset this BMSy thing. So now I will test, put lights back on, slide this over a bit, and then we will test the pins again on the output of the bottom of the thing while it's flashing slowly and flashing quickly. Where is my pen? Right, so that was dead. This is the dead version. Dead. Then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at the moment it is flashing slowly. So let's go between output ground and pin 1. Oh, I'm still in continuity. So that did him to see the lights flash there. That's what it does when it thinks it's trying to charge. Is it does that. Okay, let's go back to voltage then. So between that and pin 1, we have... Is that pin 1? Can I smell burning batteries? Can I? Have I become paranoid? I don't think so. I think I'm just becoming paranoid. It might be hot glue I'm smelling. That's packed ground. So that's definitely going the wrong way then. It's because it's upside down. I need to make it the right way round. So negative is the closest to the cut there. Is that ground? Wait, is there any output on the BMS? No, it's also backwards. Right, any output this time. Wait, it can't be negative voltage both ways, surely. No, right, okay. So, on a slow output, it's still 0. Oh, okay, that's different. So with a battery pack in, well, it's flashing, fast flashing at the moment. I wonder if it goes between fast flashing and slow flashing. And we've got 0 volts there. Let me just press this button. Nothing. Right, so ground to pin 1. 5 volts. That's right, 5 volts. Pin 1. And the LED is flashing slowly. Does it change if it flashes fast? No, still 5.5 volts. So pin 1, 5.5 volts. 5.5 volts. Pin 2. Pin 2 is 0 volts. Does it matter if it's flashing fast? Nope, 0 volts. Pin 3. Pin 3, also 0 volts. Where's the button? Flashing fast, 0 volts. Pin 4, 3 volts. And is that flashing fast? That's 3 volts, so it's flashing fast. It's now going back to slow. So right, so on slow it's 0 volts. Slow, 0 volts, and flashing fast it's 3 volts. 3 volts. Right, and then pin 5. I guess it's just gone back to slow. Right, on slow is 0 volts. And flashing fast, 2.5 volts. I have a peculiar feeling that those 2 pins are going to be like the data pins for something. Right, and 6. 0 volts, flashing slow. Flashing fast. Right, it's flashing, okay. 0 volts and 2.5 volts, so maybe that's a data pin. And pin 7. Pin stab in there, right, 0 volts, flashing slow. and 5 volts flashing fast. 0 volts, and I'm just going to round it up to 5 volts because reasons. And then pin 8, now you're flashing slowly, 4.3 volts, 4.3, and then flashing fast. Also still just 4.3. I'm just going to go back to the start and just make sure we've still got 5 volts where it's fast or slow. 5 volts on fast, 5 volts on slow, so that's just 5 and 5, 5.5 and 5.5. And then pin 2, let's just be 0, 0. Yes. 0, 0, and pin 3. Also just make sure it's 0, 0. It's flashing fast just now, flashing slow, so that's 0, 0. Okay, so we now know what it's doing when the battery is active. So, see it's flashing slow just now there. If this was plugged into the bike and you press the power button, that brings these lights on, and I presume it makes it flash fast as well, because that then activates the whole bike. You can turn it on and off. So if I was to put that back in the bike just now with that light flashing, it will totally work. I'll be able to cycle it, all the things. So I need a reset button that goes between battery pack negative and the reset. But can it be a straight switch? If I'm doing continuity, what's the resistance between these two probes? I mean, last time I checked, they're like millions of ohms resistance inside your multimeter. Like obviously I probably don't want a wire that just goes between there and there. I mean, because is there a voltage between that and that? Between that and reset? Well, at the moment there's a voltage of 5 volts. Right, everything's alive now. The board's got 5 volts. Ground should have no volts, obviously. That ground will have no volts. Reset's got a 5 volt. And mode's got 5 volts. So they've now apart from the grounds, everybody's got 5 volts. Okay. Okay, right. Hold that thought. Right, well, what have we got so far? Right, there's the little basic diagram that comes in the battery pack where you've got pack negative, pack positive, and the transmit and receive there, those two, that's the two pins that go out to the motor in the middle of the bike, that transmit and receive, which would be pin 4 on my diagram, which makes sense. Pin 3 being receive is at 0 volts no matter what happens, and then pin 4 comes alive at 3 volts once the LED starts flashing fast, which is activated. So that would be it talking to the motor. Now the other ones, 5 and 6, which are those two, we'll need to go back out on the bike and see which wires go where from that, and then see if that makes sense, because one of these must be the power switch. The power switch in the bike has got 3 wires, positive and negative, which is, to me, looks like positive and negative straight from battery voltage at 48 volts, and then 1 must be a trigger. But that doesn't make any sense though, because the battery pack turns off the output. So unless it joins them together, I don't know. We'll have to take the multimeter out and do more probing and see what it's doing when the buttons are getting pressed. 2 and 3, no, I've done 3. 2, I don't know what 2 is. It's a 0 volts no matter what happens. More probably, because there are 8 wires, aren't there? Yeah, there are 8 actual wires that go into things, so there's 8 wires doing something. I'm going to leave that on the bench just now and see when it turns off. I'll check it every now and again, see when it turns off. But just now, if anyone has any comments or suggestions on making like a reset button that I could test. I don't really want to just bridge there and there with a wire, just in case it ends horribly, because at the moment it kind of works. But yeah, comments, suggestions, anything like that, please leave them down below. I will read them all, because this is expensive. And as always, thanks for watching.